Hello children, lovely to see you again. I hope you're all feeling happy. I've got a nice little story for you here. It's called Mrs Pepperpot and the Hidden Treasure by a man named Alf Preussen. It was a fine sunny day in January, and Mrs Pepperpot was peeling potatoes at the kitchen sink. "Meow," said the cat. She was lying in front of the stove. "Meow yourself," answered Mrs Pepperpot. "Meow," said the cat again. Mrs Pepperpot suddenly remembered an old rhyme she learned when she was a child. It went like this: "The cat sat by the fire, her aches and pains were dire. Such throbbing in my head, she cried, I'll soon be dead." Mrs Pepperpot stopped peeling potatoes, wiped her hands, and knelt down beside the cat. "There's something you want to tell me, isn't there, Puss? It's too bad I can't understand you, except when I'm little. But it's not my fault." She stroked the cat, but Puss didn't purr. She just went on looking at Mrs Pepperpot. "Well, I can't spend all day being sorry for you, my girl," said Mrs Pepperpot, going back to the potatoes in the sink. When they were ready, she put them in a saucepan of cold water on the stove, not forgetting to add a good pinch of salt to the water. After that, she laid the table for her husband, who came home for his dinner at 1 o'clock, and it was now 12:30. Puss was at the door now. "Meow," she said, scratching at it. And there is Mrs Pepperpot with the cat in front of the stove, and now the cat is by the front door. "You want to get out, do you?" said Mrs Pepperpot, and opened the door. She followed the cat out because she'd noticed that her broom had fallen over in the snow. The door closed behind her, and at that moment she shrank to her Pepperpot size. "About time too," said the cat. "I've been waiting for days for this to happen. Now, don't let's waste any more time. Jump on my back, we're setting off at once." Mrs Pepperpot didn't stop to ask where they were going. She just climbed onto Puss's back. "Hold on tight," said Puss, and bounded off down the little bank at the back of the house, past Mrs Pepperpot's rubbish heap. "We're coming to the first hindrance," said Puss. "Just sit tight and don't say a word." All Mrs Pepperpot could see was a single birch tree with a couple of magpies sitting on it. True, the birds seemed as big as eagles to her now, and the tree was like a mountain. But when the magpies started screeching, she knew what the cat meant. "There's the cat! There's the cat!" they screamed. "Let's nip her tail! Let's pull her whiskers!" And they swooped down, skimming so close over Mrs Pepperpot's head, she was nearly blown off the cat's back. But the cat took no notice at all, and just kept steadily on down the hill. And the magpies soon tired of the game. And there they are, Mrs Pepperpot on the back of the cat, with the magpies screeching and attacking the pair of them. Must have been frightening. "Ah, that's that," said the cat. "The next thing we have to watch out for is being hit by snowballs. We have to cross the boys' playground now, so if any of them start aiming at you, duck behind my ears and hang on." Mrs Pepperpot looked at the boys. She knew all of them. She'd often given them sweets and biscuits. "They can't be dangerous," she said to herself. But then she heard one of them say, "Here comes that stupid cat. Ha! Let's see which one of us can be the first to hit it. Come on, boys." And they all started pelting snowballs as hard as they could. And now we have Mrs Pepperpot behind the cat with the snowballs being pelted at them. The cats ran on till they got to a wire fence with a hole just big enough for her to wriggle through. So far so good," she said. "But now comes the worst bit, because we are now in Dogland, and we don't want to get caught, so keep your eyes open." The fence divided Mrs Pepperpot's land from her neighbour's, but she knew the neighbour's dog quite well. He'd had many a bone and scraps from her, and he was always very friendly. "We'll be all right here," she thought. Ha ha! Wrong. Without any warning, that dog suddenly came bearing down on them in great leaps and bounds. Mrs Pepperpot shook like a jelly when she saw his wide open jaws, all red, with sharp white teeth glistening in a terrifying way. And there's the dog, chasing Mrs Pepperpot and Whiskers. She flattened herself on the cat's back and clung on for dear life, for Puss shot like a flash across the yard and straight under the neighbour's barn. "Phew," said the cat, "that was a narrow squeak. Thanks very much for coming all this way with me. I'm afraid it wasn't a very comfortable journey, was it?" That's right." "All right, though," said Mrs Pepperpot. "But perhaps you'll tell me now what we've come here for." "It's a surprise," said Puss. "But don't worry, you'll get your reward. All we have to do now is to find the hidden treasure. But that means crawling through the hay. So hang on." And off they went again, slowly this time, for it was difficult to make their way through the prickly stalks that seemed as big as bean poles now to Mrs Pepperpot. The dust was terrible. It went in her eyes, her mouth, her hair, down her neck, everywhere. "Can you see anything?" asked the cat. "No, only blackness," answered Mrs Pepperpot, "and it seems to be getting blacker." "In that case, we're probably going the right way," said Puss, crawling further into the hay. "Do you see anything now?" she asked. "No, nothing at all," said Mrs Pepperpot. for by now her eyes were completely bunged up with hayseed and dust. "Try rubbing your eyes," said the cat, "for this is where your hidden treasure is." So Mrs Pepperpot rubbed her eyes, blinked, and rubbed them again, until at last she could open them properly. When she did, she was astonished. All round her shone the most wonderful jewels, diamonds, sapphires, emeralds. They glittered in every colour. And there they are, glittering in front of her. Bright in the blackness, aren't they? "There you are! Didn't I tell you I had a hidden treasure for you?" said the cat. But she didn't give Mrs Pepperpot time to have a closer look. "We'll have to hurry back now. It's nearly time for your husband's dinner." So they crawled back through the hay, and just as they got out in the daylight, Mrs Pepperpot grew back to her normal size. She picked up the cat in her arms and walked across the yard. The dog was there, but oh, what a different dog! He nuzzled Mrs Pepperpot's skirt and wagged his tail in the friendliest manner. And there's Mrs Pepperpot with Puss and the dog. Much different from on the way going, isn't it? Through the gate they came to the place where the boys were playing. Every one of them nodded to her and politely said, "Good morning." Then they went on up the hill, and there were the magpies in the birch tree. Not a sound came from them. They didn't even seem to notice them walking by. When they got to the house, Mrs Pepperpot put the cat down and hurried indoors. It was almost 1 o'clock. She snatched the saucepan from the stove. A few potatoes had stuck to the bottom, so she threw those out and emptied the rest into a blue serving bowl. The saucepan she put outside the back door, with cold water in it. She'd only just got everything ready when Mr Pepperpot came in. He sniffed suspiciously. "Can I smell burnt potatoes?" he said. "Nonsense," said Mrs Pepperpot. "I dropped a bit of potato skin on the stove, that's all. But I've aired the room since, so just you sit down and eat your dinner." "Aren't you having any?" asked her husband. "Not just now," answered Mrs Pepperpot. "I have to go and fetch something first. I won't be long." And there's Mr Pepperpot about to sit down to eat his dinner. And Mrs Pepperpot went back down the hill, through the gate to her neighbour's yard and into the barn. But this time she climbed over the hay till she found the spot where her hidden treasure lay. And what do you think it was? 4 coal black kittens with beautiful, sparkling, shiny eyes. Eyes that glittered like jewels in the dark. Isn't that sweet? Not only did she have the beautiful treasure of the eyes sparkling like diamonds, she's also got 4 beautiful black kittens, besides Puss, of course. Hope you liked it, boys and girls. See you again. Bye for now.